My name is Jeremy Fremin. The business is Certified Boom Repair and Anchor Machine and Fabrication. The core business, Certified Boom, has been around since 1986. The founder founded it after doing some work in the automotive industry, repairing frames on big trucks and that sort of thing, and started moving into working with heavy equipment and specifically with cranes and the specialty of repairing the booms on cranes across the industry. They started doing acquisitions about 5 or 6 years ago, acquiring machine shops, which was a significant vendor of theirs, but also they saw it as a way to develop another revenue stream and another growth path for the aggregate business. And so they did that. They acquired 2 different machine shops over that time, integrated them into the overall corporate structure. I spent about 2 years looking for the right business to acquire. Some key factors that I was looking for in identifying a business to acquire: just the ethos of the family, the way the company has operated, and the fact that it was a tangible, here are things that aren't working today and they're going to be working tomorrow and it's going to get people back up and running. Those were things that really just resonated with me when I identified the business. When I first engaged with the SBDC at USF, it was through a recommendation from my banker, actually. Kevin at the bank, the Cogent Bank here locally, he had a relationship with Brad in a previous life and was able to get me connected into the Small Business Development Center at USF. And he said, you really need to talk to Brad. He'll be a second party, outside of the transaction that can really help you understand kind of what your options are. The way I used some of the information I got from Brad really was, one, to confirm the things that I was seeing, making sure I wasn't ignoring financial aspects of the business, or frankly just missing something I wasn't experienced in. And then I think the big help for me was, as I started to define the finalizing the purchase price and how we were going to lay out the structure of the financing, is to make sure that I got enough financing early on so that I could make sure that I had enough cash on hand to keep cash flow going, to make sure I didn't run low and have to be skimpy early on and miss an opportunity in the business. And that was, frankly, that was something I wasn't doing at the time. And that did change the way that I approached that final financing package. As far as where we are today and how we have grown, we have already hired new employees. We've got 2 more in the pipeline, and because business is, some might say, booming, we have a need for additional staff to catch up. In a 32-person company, you're talking about hiring 2 to 4 people in the first couple of months. That's pretty decent growth to get right off the ground. I think my biggest success, for me personally, is completing the acquisition. Right, it has to be a business owner, to be an operator, those things were kind of a dream of mine. And so the fact that I was able to successfully execute the transaction itself, to me, that's a big accomplishment. I continue to engage with the Small Business Development Center. Brad has been great at getting me introductions into other resources in the office. I've already have somebody who's evaluating our websites. We have a very nascent e-commerce portion of our website for parts and supplies and those sorts of things that are frankly underperforming and have a good opportunity for growth for us in the business. And so being able to tap into people who really understand that and can guide us and give us some recommendations is going to be great. I've also gotten connections into some folks that are good with marketing. And so being a small business, not having a marketing staff or a huge marketing budget, having access to those kinds of resources are really critical, and I think are going to be huge force multipliers for us as a small business moving forward.